Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. It's Eclipse Day, and we're going to take you out to sea after you check out that stellar thing in the sky today. We're going to head out on the Disney Wonder to Alaska because we know so many of our listeners are either curious about this particular itinerary with Disney Cruise Line, or you're getting ready to sail here in just a few months because the summer season is upon us right around the corner. We're talking with listener Kara from Virginia about her sailing last year on the Disney Wonder. We talk about the ports in Alaska. We talk about all the fun that's to be had in the sea days on the ship. We talk about where to stay when you get to, well, she flew into Seattle and then went to Vancouver in her hotel and her transportation. And just so many of the logistics of making this cruise awesome. Let me give you the bottom line. She had an amazing time on the Disney Wonder, and you're going to hear all the details on today's show. Don't forget, our show always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. Check them out for all your Disney trip planning needs, whether it's to Walt Disney World, Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney, or Disneyland. We'll help you plan that trip for no additional cost to you. So check out all the details over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. One extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you to our Patreon supporters. You make all these shows possible. So again, thank you so much for that. You can support us as well. Just $5 a month. That's all it takes. And it really does help us out. So if you could do that, we'd really appreciate it. And you'll get our bonus show every week. It's called Mike in the Midwest. So coming over this week, patreon.com/beourguestpodcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2466 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from beourguestpodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Eclipse Monday to you. Hope you're having a great start to your week. And remember today, look up, but make sure if you look up, you use those approved glasses. And again, shout out to Dr. Kai down in Arkansas for keeping these two eyes safe and the eyes of my family safe. He sent me some glasses. He's thinking of my family because he knows that if he didn't, he knows Mike could be cruising down Highway 94 here in St. Charles County, Missouri, and pick some sketch glasses up at a gas station. And he did not want that to happen this year. So shout out Dr. Kai. Thanks for making that not happen and keeping me safe as I peep out the sun here later today. But either way, I hope you're having a great day and hope you find totality in our podcast. See what I did there? We're going to have a good time, though, today. We're heading out to sea. And this show, I think, is perfectly timed. We're not always perfectly timed in our Monday podcast, but I think this one is because just a few weeks ago, Disney Cruise Line announced the 2025 summer sailing season. So that's all those cruises that you could start booking for next summer to sail to places like the Caribbean and, you know, the sailings over in Europe and so forth. But I'll tell you from personal experience, because again, I'm very lucky that I get to help a lot of guests book their vacations and their cruises here at the Magic for Less Travel. My most popular itinerary for summer 2025 was Alaska. Alaska was up there. So we're going to talk about an Alaska cruise and we're going to head up there. So joining us today is Kara from out in Richmond, Virginia. Kara, how's it going today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing well. So spring in Virginia, hopefully things are going well out your way. And, I just hope that spring has sprung out your way.
Yeah, as long as it's not snowing, I'm good, and it's not. So
seriously, I mean, last week we saw people up in, I don't know, we have the Discord, the Be Our Guest Clubhouse, people hanging out there all the time, and we're always talking about the weather. I don't know, because I'm getting old, and all that kind of stuff. But up in Wisconsin and people in the upper Midwest posting these pictures of like 6, 7, 8 inches. Of people in New Hampshire, up in Maine, the snow, all this snow. Like we've had Easter. It's baseball season. Knock it off. Right. What's going on?
Right. I agree. Can't do it.
But then again, you took a cruise to a place where there's snow in the summer. True. Is that okay? I guess that's okay though. Like, is it's a novelty, I guess, to see snow in the dead of summer, maybe, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's break it down a little bit here. So give us just a quick little blurb of why you're such a Disney fan. Like, how's it start for you, real quick, and then we'll jump into the cruise.
Okay. I grew up going to Disney World with my family once, sometimes twice a year. And then started taking Disney cruises about 5 years ago. Fell in love with that. Have been to Disneyland. Love Disney movies. So just kind of grew up with Disney my whole life.
Cool. So okay, let's be specific to Disney Cruise Line today, because I got the itch. I'm under 90 days to the fantasy myself, and I'm doing a first time cruise for me. I've been on all the ships, but I've never done Eastern Caribbean. For some reason, I've done the Western 3 times. I don't know why I always do that itinerary. I've never done Eastern, but I'm excited I get to do it this time. So let me ask you, your first Disney cruise, what led you to take the first Disney cruise? What got you going for the very first time there?
We always wanted to do one. We'd cruised other cruise lines and we just finally decided to bite the bullet. And it's funny because we went on the Fantasy on the Eastern Caribbean. That was our first cruise in 2019.
That's so funny because so you did the Tortola, St. Thomas.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to take advantage of this real quick for like 2 seconds. Give me a couple tips. To help me out here, because it's going to be, I solicit everybody for tips, and you've been there. So what should I not miss, or what's something I should make sure that, to keep a heads up for?
Tortola was awesome. That was our favorite. We did not book an excursion, as we kind of researched, and we wanted to go to Jost Van Dyke and figured we could do the transportation on our own. It was a nightmare. It was multiple, like, ferry to here, bus to here, this to here. And it's such a small island. They only take cash. We ran out of cash. So we had to talk somebody into doing a cash advance for us just so we could get back to the ship. So moral of the story is just book the excursion to Jost Van Dyke. It was worth it once you got there. We just thought we could do it on our own. That's
a good tip. Actually, Tortola, we're ziplining in the trees. That one, the girls wanted to do that. They want to zip line. So the Tortola, we're zip lining, but then in St. Thomas, I just booked a beach day. We're taking I booked them on the ship. We're just doing the Disney Cruise Line. We're getting on a bus, going to the beach, sitting on the beach for 4 hours. And I think in St. Thomas though, we're taking some kind of like Skyliner thing up to like a little bar and grill, to get lunch. I think if we have time after that, and because, that looks like a pretty chill kind of day. We don't want to be too intensive there.
Yes, Megan's Bay. We go there in St. Thomas, and the beach is beautiful. So
yep, that's where we're going, Megan's Bay.
Yep, you'll love it.
Because we always try to do too much, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just have, for once in my life, just vacation, like novel idea, right? And we'll talk about this with the Alaska cruise here in like 2 seconds. But I mean, one of the things I'm super excited for, 3 sea days. I love sea days. How do you feel about sea days?
I love sea days too, but now that I've been on the ship and done several cruises, I'm itching to go to all the different ports. I'm a go person too, not really a relax on vacation. So
I just like the little like activities that Disney Cruise Line gives you during sea days. I'm a trivia junkie. If they have towel folding, I'm terrible at it, but I'll go, I'll sing karaoke, better later at night after a tequila tasting or something, but I'll do it in the afternoon if I have to. So anyway, well, okay, let's get into your cruise. So we're going to talk about Cruising the Wonder. So tell us when you went, who went with you, and how it all came, how you decided to go to Alaska.
We wanted to do something different. We had done pretty much all the Caribbean sailings. We had done the Southern Caribbean sailing out of Puerto Rico prior to that. And so we wanted something totally different. So we decided Alaska. It was 4 adults, 2 couples, and we went last May. So May of 2023. We were trying to go prior, but COVID kind of blocked that. So when we got the first opportunity to go, we took it because we didn't want to miss out again. So
I think we all have that strategy at this point in life, right? It's like, yeah, I was going to go. And then the ship stayed parked for like 2 years.
Yes.
Let's go now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Makes
and
sense.
It was the first sailing of the season too. So they hadn't gone, they came from dry dock.
So was there anything you could notice? Because I mean, that's a unique situation. Ship out of dry dock, first ship of our first cruise of the season. I mean, did you find any rough edges? Did you find that? I mean, I don't know what you would have to draw any comparisons. Well, you've sailed. You're a pretty veteran sailor, though. I mean, were they shaking off the rust, so to speak?
So it was a silver anniversary at sea cruise, the 25th anniversary cruise. So they were supposed to have all this merchandise and certain drinks and different things. And they did tell us that some of that stuff was delayed.
Mhm.
So it didn't make our sailing. So,
That
but
stinks.
it didn't affect anything.
I've heard that stuff happen even with some of the other ships, like, even down out of Port Canaveral. That does happen with merchandise from time to time, which is kind of it's a ship, so I get it. Oh, Dr. Kevin McLean, shout out. He's in our live chat, and he's fixed my back a time or two back when I was playing a lot of hockey. So shout out to him, chiropractor, back when I taught at Wedgwood Elementary, and he was right across the street. So he's asking, though, is the Wonder like the other ships? Okay, so for those that haven't sailed with Disney Cruise Line, there's basically now 3 classes of ships. There used to be 2. The Magic and the Wonder are the 2 OG ships. They're the originals. They're what Disney Cruise Line, they don't call them the OG ships. They call them the classics. So they're the classic ships. They're the smaller of the ships, but they're also just great ships. They're very intimate. They're a lot of fun. Then you have the Fantasy and the Dream. They're sister ships. They're larger. They have a little bit more to do. They're the ones that have the aqueducts on the top, the big tubes you'll see on the top. That's how you can kind of tell those 2 ships. Now you have the Wish, which is she's kind of by herself for right now. Then you have the Adventure, and you'll have the Treasure to go along with that. And then another ship, the Destiny's coming too shortly. So we're going to have all kinds of ships everywhere. It used to be a lot easier to keep track of things, but it's going to get more and more confusing as years go. But the Wonder and the Magic are sister ships, and they were the first 2. So, and the smaller ships. All right, so just want to throw that out there for Dr. McLean. Okay, and you're welcome. I appreciate you because I can walk upright right now still. So, and I've run a bunch of marathons since then. Okay, so let's get into it. So now you guys are in Virginia, so you're on the other side of the country. So obviously going out of Port Canaveral, those other ports on the East Coast, a lot easier. So let's talk about travel and getting out to Vancouver, where this cruise takes place. How'd you arrange that?
So we decided we were going to fly to Seattle, and then we were going to take the train from Seattle to Vancouver because we had heard such good things about the train. We figured if we were going all the way west, we might as well explore Seattle and be able to explore Vancouver before the cruise. So we flew to Seattle and spent a night and a day in Seattle and hung out like tourists, and then took the train the next morning.
So, and you would recommend that to other folks that are, because I mean, I would want to do the same thing. I mean, I've never been in the Pacific Northwest, so I would want to at least see a little bit of the area if I was up there.
Yes. And then another reason why we did it too, is we're big Southwest people.
Same.
So yeah, so Southwest didn't fly to Vancouver. So the furthest was Washington. And so we figured that was a perfect opportunity after we looked at the cost of the train was $47 to get from Seattle to Vancouver. And it was beautiful. It was unlike anything I've ever seen.
You said it was $47 for a 4.5 hour train ride.
Yes.
That is crazy to me. And I'd imagine, like you said, it was a beautiful train ride. I mean, it was, to me, this almost seems like it would almost be like an attraction or something, something you would do for amusement.
It was all along the coastline. It was absolutely beautiful.
Oh man, I'm so see, I really want to do this cruise, and now this is almost like a port adventure, like a pre-cruise port adventure to me. Like this is day 0 port, or something to me. When I read this, I'm like, okay, like the cruise has already started.
Right.
You're not even to the ship. You're not even to the city yet. Like you're
right.
not there. Okay, so you guys stay. Here's the question I always get from people that are booking this cruise: where should I stay then? Because again, if read my lips. Be in the city where you're going to sail out of the night before the cruise. Be there because that ship will leave and it will leave you behind. They do not care. You were there. You guys stayed at the Pan Pacific. So it sounds like this worked out great for you. And this is a recommended hotel for folks. So tell us about the Pan Pacific.
Yes, we're pretty loyal to Marriott, but for this one, we decided to step away after we found out that the Pan Pacific was actually attached to the cruise port. So you could give your luggage to the hotel staff and they would take it to the ship for you. There was a direct elevator going straight down into the terminal. So you were already essentially on the ship before you even got there.
It says like you could see like the seaplanes from there. It was an easy walk to restaurants and other kind of, if you just wanted to walk around to kind of stretch your legs, it looks like a lot of tourist kind of things to do within walking distance.
Yes. Beautiful hotel.
All right. So, and could you see the ship from the hotel there? I mean, obviously you're right there at the terminal, so you can see right there. I guess
it has like long picture windows in all the rooms, and so you could see the ships pull in and out, and you can see seaplanes land. I mean, you could just sit there and watch all day.
See, I'd be so amped up because, like, I've stayed. Usually, we stay at Walt Disney World because I like to get a little Disney fix the night before if we're going out of Port Canaveral. But I have a couple times just because I'm a space nerd too. I've stayed like at old hotels on like A1A in Cocoa Beach because I've read, the astronauts own this. It was a stinky hotel. It was like, now it's a La Quinta, but back in the day, like John Glenn and a couple astronauts owned it. So I'm like, well, I told my wife, I just want to stay there because like the Mercury astronauts own this hotel, and it was so dumpy. It was a terrible La Quinta. She's like, they owned this thing like 49 years ago. I'm like, yeah, but it's historic. There's a plaque in the lobby. She hated me for it. But it was one of those things, like I went for my morning run and I saw the ship in the port, and it just gets you so amped up. Like, in like 3 hours, we get on this ship, and I could imagine seeing it right there in your hotel and the planes. It's kind of like if you're, Port Canaveral, like going over to Fish Lips for dinner the night before and seeing the ships come in and out. You just get so excited. Oh, I'm so excited. I love this stuff because I can't wait to go on my cruise now. I still got to wait forever. Okay. So embarkation day comes. I'm telling you what, if you've been on a cruise, you know what I'm talking about. This is like Christmas Day times 10. It's the best. The whole cruise is in front of you. So walk us through embarkation for Alaska, getting on the Wonder.
Embarkation was the easiest out of any cruise we've ever been on, and that's due to the hotel and the partnership that they have with Disney. So we didn't have to leave. We just got on the elevator and boom, we were in the terminal, right on the ship. We were one of the first people on board. It was seamless. We got luggage pretty quickly. It was great.
So was it, I don't know if I asked or if I heard, but it's first time on the Wonder this time?
Yes. So at the time we had done the Fantasy, the Dream, and the Magic. And so we were just waiting to do the Wonder before the Wish came out. So yes, first time.
But you've been on the Magic, so you've been on a classic ship.
Yes.
Okay. So what were your initial thoughts? Because I don't know, like if your kind of routine is to, get announced onto the ship, go into the atrium, and then head directly to the buffet, catch some lunch, then explore. That's kind of what, I think that's what like 90% of the people do. But what's your, first hour or two on the ship typically like on a cruise?
We usually do the sit-down lunch versus the
Okay.
buffet, just because we find the buffet to be so busy.
It is.
And the sit-down lunch is kind of relaxing, and by the time you get out of it, usually your room is ready, and so we tend to skip the buffet on the first day.
You are smart, but I have kids that that just want to go up and tear it up, and I'm just kind of the same way. I just like to go up there and grab whatever I like. But yeah, you do it right because you're just like, I'm just gonna go the other way and relax, and it's nice. Because I always try to get on like the aqueduct or something real quick, or I'm always, I need to relax. It's a cruise for the love of, maybe I'll do that this summer. I'm gonna do that on the Fantasy. But
You should try it.
I will. I will. It's a 7-night cruise. We don't even hit land till the third day. Come on now, Mike, relax. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
They're not going to run out of food. So you get on there. Now, this is also, you mentioned a silver anniversary at sea. So you had those special gifts like right here in the studio. I got one too because our podcast cruise was one of those cruises too. The Mickey, Captain Mickey little, I love that piece of art. As well, I think it's beautiful. It's a cute little touch. And so did they do a lot of that stuff throughout your cruise? Or, really, they just gave us the art on the Wish this summer kind of thing.
Pretty much. I mean, they had some decor put up, stickers on the porthole windows, and banners, but a couple fun drinks and stuff that
I got
they
a
sold,
coaster.
but...
Yeah, I brought home a coaster that Scott didn't get, and he's still mad about it because I think he paid for the drink to get the coaster, then they ran out or something. I'm like, I waited for the bartender to go to another bar to get mine because I was like, I want that for the. Yep, it's still back there. The studio. I was making sure it's still back there. It is. I don't know why I'm looking because nobody comes down here but me. I don't think Scott is like broken in here. And like he would not take it. He's my best friend. Okay, so you get on the ship. It's embarkation day. Does the Wonder do as much of a sail away as, say, like the Fantasy and the Port Canaveral cruise as you're going to Alaska? Do they make it such a big deal? Would you think?
Yes.
They do.
It's the same as the other ships. Yes.
Do you guys, you're two couples though? I mean, do you guys do you guys go up there and, I mean, dance with Mickey and everything? Or do you guys just kind of chill out and like, we don't need that. We've done a bunch of
No,
times.
we go up there. We love to watch the ship sail away. And we had read so much. They sail under this pretty neat bridge. And so we wanted to see the ship sail under the bridge. And so took a lot of pictures. It was really, really cool.
Sweet. Okay, let me ask you about staterooms. I should have asked you about that earlier, but let's talk about that. So, did you guys get staterooms, like connecting staterooms or adjacent staterooms, or how'd that work with the other couple?
Yes, we always have connecting balcony rooms.
Nice. Oh my gosh, that's what we do with Scott's family too. Like we take the divider out and we have this big old, we call it the big dance floor, so we can just go back and forth, and it's the best. So, what kind of stateroom did you have? And tell us, like, for 7 nights, and again, there's certain itineraries that just lend themselves to having a veranda. You know, in Alaska with the vistas you're going to see constantly. I mean, if you can swing it, at least have a porthole. You know, like, but a veranda, if you can make it happen, this is one of those that is just going to be amazing to have. I would think you would agree with me on that one.
Yes, and we always get a veranda. We like the outdoor space, but I did find that this itinerary, we use the veranda a lot more than any other sailing, just simply because it was totally different scenery to look at.
Yeah. So, and also, I get, a lot of folks that are going to itineraries that stop at Castaway Cay, right? The Bahamians, the Caribbeans, we're always looking, a lot of people want starboard. Starboard's a big sell because when the ship docks at Castaway Cay, if you have a starboard stateroom, you're going to dock where your veranda overlooks Castaway Cay while you're in port, which is fun because you can get, but here's the thing. I've had this a bunch of times. Usually I'm not on my veranda while we're in Castaway Cay. It's like, I maybe I'm up there like we're leaving, but I'm usually hustling to get ready for dinner. So I'm like, it's like 5 minutes of my cruise. And like, I stressed about it for, 10 days, it's like return on investment, terrible. But anyway, with this cruise, you got to think about it. It's an out and back. So you're going to see it either on the way up or on the way back because the cruise is going to come up and back. It's a north-south kind of thing. So did you find that it's not that big a deal if you're on the port or the starboard side?
Not at all. Every room, everywhere, every deck is a great view.
Cool. All right. So now let's kind of dive in. First, your embarkation, you got your sail away party going. Tell us about kind of the first day, because that's kind of that first day where it's a little chaotic. You're trying to get settled, get the stateroom in, get your luggage. First, you're meeting your serving team. You're finding your table at your first. Where was your first restaurant?
I can't remember.
That doesn't matter. I mean, that's terrible to ask you. That's a terrible question.
I think it was Animator's Palette. I think so.
That's terrible. I'm terrible interview to ask that a year later. Because I should just ask you about dining in general. But like, so did you guys kind of just find your way around and just explore that first night? Did anything remarkable happen the first night, maybe?
First night, pretty much just exploring. We did go to dinner. We love the rotational dining, so that's something we never miss dining unless we're going to Palo. But we just kind of explored. We definitely went to trivia. We always go to trivia.
Yes.
Our goal is to win a medal the first day of the cruise and be able to wear that medal the whole time. So
I want to sail with you because 100%. That's exact winner. Where's my medals?
Yep.
It's so fun. Yes. I mean, even if I got to just make a race car out of potatoes or something, I got to get my medal,
Me too.
Whatever it takes. So you enjoy the cruise director's staff's activities do you like basically exclusively trivia, or do you like the more obscure activities like throughout the cruise? Do you like go through the navigator and find most things and attend a lot of things throughout the cruise?
Yes, we attend a lot of things. We stay busy. We're not
Same.
We're not like lay by the pool kind of people. We're highlighting the itinerary and trying to find something all day long. So we've done pretty much all the activities.
Speaking of highlighters, I miss the old days where I used to highlight it with the paper.
I know.
Now my phone just kind of buzzes because you put the star and it gives you a reminder 10 minutes or 15 minutes before. I mean, that's okay. I get that, but man, you just brought back a memory there with the
Yeah.
we'd like have different color highlighters. I know we're
Yep.
nerds, but those because then you bring them home and be like, that was like a souvenir. Anyway, okay, so the first day though, sea day. That's kind of nice though because you get on the ship and there's really no pressure, I guess, that first night because you're not porting the next day, so you just you sleep in a little the next day, or how's the first sea day go?
We also don't. We're not sleeping people. We
Me
get up
neither.
early every day, whether it's a weekend, a work day, vacation day. So we're like waiting for Cove Cafe to open kind of people. So
Need my
yeah.
Java. Nice. Okay, so give us some highlights of your sea day though. Give some recommendations for folks that are heading up this year. What could they expect, or what did you guys enjoy for a sea day on the Wonder?
So like I said, we start every day, whether it's a sea day or port day at Cove Cafe. That we love to enjoy a coffee and kind of relax before the day starts. The first sea day, they brought an Alaskan expert on the ship to cruise with us basically the whole time, and they did presentations every day on something specific to Alaska or what you may see the next day, certain wildlife. You were able to ask them questions, which was really really nice because they don't do that on any other sailing that I'm aware of. So it was very very helpful to have that. And then of course they have the characters in their special Alaska outfits. So that's always huge seeing them walking around. And so we definitely did that. And we spent a lot of time on the balcony watching us sail from Canada all the way into Alaska. And up on the top deck, we saw whales, and they would call out, when they saw things in the water, and they would say, okay, over here on the starboard side, look to, you'll see 3 whales. So it was nice. You could stand up there for hours and be entertained.
So they would do like a full ship announcement saying on the starboard side right now you can see like kind of like a captain would do like on a airplane, like off off the right here you can see the Grand Canyon kind of thing.
Yes.
That's cool because that is unique. You don't
Yes.
you don't hear that in the Bahamas. Off the right hand side here we got a couple dolphins. You don't get that very often. No. So the wildlife experts or these naturalists that come on to give you some background knowledge of what you may see throughout the cruise. Are they doing this in the theaters? Are they doing this? How's that? Or is it well attended? What's that like?
Yes, it was in the theater. And they had them throughout the day. Of course, like I said, we're morning people, so we would always go to the earliest one. So ours probably wasn't as busy. People were probably at breakfast. But I would think that they are well attended.
Yeah, because it's super, you're there, you're like immersed in it. You're going to get educated with, what you're going to see. It's going to make the experience of what you're about to see just more enriching because you're going to have knowledge of what to look for. And, I was a teacher, so this is so up my alley. I'm just like, oh my gosh, get myself on this ship. So that night, though, you wrap it up with Palo dinner. So again, it's just I love Palo. It's just to me. I was trying to explain this to my dad. My dad's never done nothing like a Disney cruise, and I was trying to explain to him like the levels. Right, I'm like, my dad would think like the rotational dining is super fancy because he's like way below even me because I'm not fancy, but he's way below my fancy level. I'm like, Palo is fancy. I'm like, but you got to understand that on the ships, though, there's like one more notch above this Palo Italian restaurant. As it's either called Ashante on the newer ships or Remy on some of the other ships. I'm like, but Palo is like my ultimate fancy. Like that's as high as my fancy meter really needs to go. I'm like, but I like it a lot. I like it. But I said, I like it because I'm platinum and I get one free meal. Like this place, that's why, because I'm frugal too. And we're going to do 2 of them on the fantasy because we're there for 7 nights. I'll splurge for one, they're going to pay for, but I enjoy it because the food is just outstanding, but also the rotational dining to me is outstanding because I don't eat out much. It's super fancy, but give us your thoughts on Palo.
So fine dining is my favorite part of vacationing. Any vacation, I'm always looking for the most unique, innovative, expensive restaurants. So Palo is a must. We haven't gotten to do Remy or Ashante yet, but they're definitely on the list. But Palo is a must. Just the service, the food, the drinks, it's amazing. It's wonderful.
You've done the brunch, right? That's my favorite at Palo. I like dinner too, right? The lasagna, the chicken. I like. There's a few dishes I like at dinner too. We're doing dinner obviously too on this one, but the brunch. I'm a brunch person though, because I like the with the eggs with the hollandaise sauce, the eggs Benedict, and the chicken parm. Not that I'm already thinking about what I'm going to have to eat like in 3 months, but I'm already thinking about what I'm going to have to eat for 3 months. Yeah, my dad asked me what makes this Remy restaurant so fancy, and the best thing I could come up with is it's like a lot of French food, and the purses have their own seats. I was like, the ladies' purses have like a seat of their own. I'm like, I don't know. That's what makes it fancy, I guess. So there you go.
Yeah, I've heard people compare it to Victorian Albert's, which I've done. So hopefully we'll get to Remy next.
I toured it. We did our agency when the ship was in port one day. We got on like right after the guests left the ship. So we got like a couple hours just for the agents that had never been on a Disney cruise. Like we took them around and showed them like, this is what this kind of a stateroom looks like. This is what this guy. And then they're like, you want to see Remy? So I'm like, I'll take a bunch of them up to Remy. I was like, I've actually never been to Remy. So we ran through Remy and I'm like, what's that? Like, that's a purse chair or something, a purse stool. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, you're messing with me. And the ladies put their purses on those. I'm like, that's why I don't go here. Like, any place that the purse needs its own chair, Mike Rallman does not need to be in this restaurant. It's too fancy for this guy. They cracked up. They're like, no, you can eat here too, sir. I'm like, you don't want me in here. I'd be messing you up. Anyway, okay, the next day you get to your first port. So tell us about the exciting. You're a port person. You finally get to do something. What's up?
Yes. So the first was Glacier Day, though, where you don't actually get to get off the ship.
Oh, okay.
Technically, it's a port day, but you don't actually get off. And they have one excursion available, and it basically is a smaller ship that will take you all the way up to the glacier and around way closer to land, so you can see more wildlife. So we decided to do that since it was a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it took you very, very close to the glacier. And they had several people on board to answer questions. They were pointing out wildlife. It was really nice. And again, the weather was kind of an anomaly on this sailing because it's supposed to be kind of cool in the beginning of May and September sailings. And so most people had packed kind of winter clothes. And when we looked at the weather, we were like, oh, 60 degrees, that's kind of summer for us. Like, we're wearing shorts. So we're shorts and t-shirts. And so we get on and it's like 75, 80 degrees the whole time and sunny, man. And it doesn't rain at all. So we're great because we have a t-shirt and shorts, but everybody else is in sweaters and coats and beanies because it's all they packed. So people were scrambling to buy t-shirts. So it was really nice being on that smaller boat too, when it was warm and sunny and not cold.
Was the smaller boat, something that people might have, if they're thinking about doing this, any kind of, because smaller boats and sometimes, like when you take kind of like a transfer from, say even in the Caribbean over to like Tulum or something, some people get a little motion sickness, because sometimes they go a little bit quick, it gets a little choppy. Is this something that people might need to think about from your experience now that you've been on it?
No, the water's like glass. It's completely still. I mean, maybe if there was a storm, we didn't experience that, but no motion sickness.
And told that you said like kind of a once in a lifetime thing to see. I mean, we're not going to get into the whole global warming or anything like that, but I mean, exactly. see these things in their current day, presentation. Like you just you just want to see it in its present state,
right?
While you're there. Okay, so Skagway next day. Tell us about that.
Skagway, we booked the train excursion. And basically the train takes you all the way up to the top of the mountain and then all the way back down. So you kind of start where it's lush and green and spring, and then you get towards the top and it's full-blown winter, in the top of the mountains, snow. So, and you could stand out on the back on the caboose as the train went along, take pictures, videos.
Does it feel like you're going back in time a little bit when you're like with these? I mean, I don't know how these other excursions are going to go, but this one just seems like, it almost feels like to me like a Silver Dollar City experience. But I mean, this is real. This is Alaska.
Very much. And they talked a lot about the history and the gold rush and all that. And Skagway is a small, very small town. You can pretty much see from one end to the other. So it's very, it feels kind of like it's back in the day.
Do you see? Because I have no knowledge of this, so I could be asking really dumb questions here. But just I'm trying to do this on behalf of our listeners too. Sorry, listeners, I'm asking dumb questions for you. That's terrible to say, but do the townspeople, the folks that live there, obviously they're focused on tourism, but I mean, do you find that there's folks out there from the town that are kind of wanting to support the tourists, as you're getting off the train, and there's things where you can buy souvenirs and buy drinks and food and all that kind of stuff, in addition to your time, you can spend some time in the town and kind of experience it. I know it's going to be a tourist version of it, I would imagine, but what's it like for the town itself besides riding the train? And you guys, looks like you also went to the distillery.
Yes. So we talked to several people who live there, and actually the lady who ran the train excursion, she was a college student, and she comes to Alaska for the summers and just does the cruise season and then goes back home. So I would say probably about 70 to 80% of Skagway, those people don't live there year round.
Wow.
They go somewhere else in the wintertime. So they heavily rely on the tourism season. And there were plenty of tourism things. They had dinner shows and souvenir shops and all kinds of stuff like that.
Sounds like Branson around here. Exactly. Or, all those towns like that. But that's cool. And I bet you they were super excited to see you, because you mentioned, you guys were, still coming out of COVID. And I mean, I'm sure that just devastated their town,
Right.
I'm sure they're so excited to see you guys. All right. Real quick though, just in general, when you're jumping from port to port, day to day, how long in general was it to go? Was it just like an overnight, in the morning you were there, or did you get there mid-morning most of the time? Like how was the the distance traveling between these ports?
Very short. In the morning you were there. They barely moved the ship along to get there to the next day.
Nice. All right, so the next day looks like it's Juneau. So tell us about Juneau.
Yes, we did it was called Best of Juneau, and it was pretty much a full day excursion. It was comprised of 3 things. We went whale watching, we saw the glacier, and then we also went to Echo Mountain Lodge, which was like a remote lodge with nothing around it. So we did whale watching first, saw tons of whales. I will caution you there on the motion sickness. Whale watching boats are historically known for that, and it was it definitely could have made you a little ill if that's a worry. But then they took us to the lodge, and we had this huge seafood buffet spread. We got to try their local hot sauce and seafood chowder, and they were frying homemade donuts outside.
I saw this and I was like, I don't care what a Disney, what an Alaska cruise costs. When I saw this, I'm like, okay, you said you get seafood chowder, salmon, and fresh made donuts. I'm like, okay, you've talked about train rides. You've talked about being on the Wonder, which I love the ship, and seafood chowder, salmon, and homemade donuts. I'm in. I'm in. I'm just about to change my cruise right now. I'm about to go on DisneyCruiseLine.com.
It was awesome. And it was all you can eat. So you could have as much as you wanted.
Yeah. Medic. I could not, I would not make it on the southern part. It would not be coming back. So what else? You guys got to do some other stuff though after that even.
Yes, we went, and we are brewery distillery fans where we live in Virginia. It's a huge craft beer and wine place. So we tried to check out a brewery at every port. We were actually surprised to find several at some, and distilleries. We didn't know that Alaska had kind of a booming distillery and brewery business, but they did. So we definitely checked out those in the ports and went to local restaurants. We like to try whatever their local cuisine is.
So you have it sounds like in these ports though, you have enough time to do things like that. I mean, because typically in the Caribbean, I mean, the window to do things is rather short. You got to be really careful. You really don't have a lot of time to go check out local restaurants. You might be able to run in, grab something real quick, and grab it. But, to go to a distillery, check out a couple drinks, go to a restaurant. So it seems like this is more of a leisurely pace kind of port itinerary.
Yes, I will say with Disney in Alaska, your port days are full, at least 8-hour days. I've heard other cruise lines, sometimes they are 4 hours and there's not enough time to really do anything. But ours were full days. You could do an excursion and then still have time to explore the town.
Let me ask you this though, because it sounds like you have the background knowledge to be person to ask which of these ports had the best kind of brewery scene or best, place to, if you want to kind of check out the spirits and, get a tour of a distillery or something like that. Was it Skagway? Was it Juneau? Was it somewhere else?
We liked Skagway because it was just a really small town feel. They had one brewery and one distillery, but we liked that they were small. Juneau is more of the bigger city. They actually have a university there. People do live there full time. So they had a lot more commercial aspects to the town, but they were all really nice. Ketchikan is small and has a lot too. So really, I mean, they were all great. If you're into that, like you won't be disappointed.
Awesome. All right. Speaking of Ketchikan, that's where you went after Juneau. So let's talk about your time over there.
Yeah. So Ketchikan, we booked an excursion to go four-wheeling in the afternoon, but we still had time in the morning to be able to walk around town and explore. And it literally is like stepping back in time. There are all kinds of shops and restaurants, and you could local parks that you can walk to, things you could, museums you could explore. So there, I would say you really don't have to book an excursion if you don't want to, but it was nice because we were able to do both.
See, I like it. It's kind of like what we're doing in, St. Thomas a little bit, like we're going to the beach and then hopefully we'll have a little time to go up to that little bar and grill on top of the little sky buckets. I mean, that's kind of the dream, but it sounds like again, not as much time as you guys had in these ports, but that's what I'm excited about. Okay. So you guys signed up for some four-wheeling. I see this again, old, right? I'm old. I admit it, but I love Love Boat. It's one of my favorite shows, and I watch that channel on Pluto TV because it's like a 24-hour channel, and it just shows Love Boat episodes. And they show like a lot of Alaska. There was a season where they went to Alaska, and so I see those all the time. And what's ironic is this is still the itinerary they ran in like the 80s or the late 70s and the 80s. They went to Ketchikan, they went to Skagway. I mean, this is exactly where they went, and they shot on location. And so I'm like, in my mind, I can picture like Stubing with the fake dog sled and all that racing, the mean captain and all this stuff. So like, this is so funny because this is like a classic itinerary that's been around for decades and decades, yet it's probably evolved over the decades, but it's still probably kept some of its basic roots in what the cruisers enjoy, what tourists want to see in Alaska. I mean, do you kind of feel that it's a little bit in the past, but it's also kind of, four-wheeling, I bet you they've been doing that for decades, I would imagine.
Yes, I'm sure. And it was really nice. We went all the way up the mountain and we would stop places that they knew were great places to take pictures. And they talked about the foliage and, what things naturally grow that they use to flavor their foods and drinks. And they were also college students who led that. So it was very interesting.
And you guys got to visit one last, this was your last port day. So you got to go to one last distillery brewery here. And this one was nice too, I guess.
Very nice. And it's right when you get off the ship, and they're known for their different local fried fish. So you just grab it and go, and you can sit outside, sit inside. So we weren't going to miss the hot, fresh fried fish with a cold beer.
That sounds, I'm not a beer drinker, but man, the fried fish sounds so good because St. Louis is a very Catholic town. And during Lent, all of our local Catholic churches have the fish fries, right? I mean, every one of them does. And so, man, fried fish is everywhere. Like all the local parishes, just battle it out around here. So unfortunately, the season's over. No more fish fries. But oh my gosh, like this sounds. Again, you are selling this like you're hitting me in all the places, like with all this fried fish and all this stuff. So sounds awesome. And the four-wheeling, was this something that you would say? Again, because I just want to help people that are thinking about, because I think port adventures are super important to think of what you want to do. This is obviously a you got to be physically fit to do this to be a four-wheel. You don't want to, get hurt or anything. But I mean, what was the adventure level on this for somebody thinking about doing this?
So
Was it something you were like flying on these things, or how was it?
No, it was a side-by-side four-wheeler. So you weren't on your own individual.
Oh,
If you
really?
didn't want to drive, you don't have to drive.
I've
I
never
didn't
seen a
drive.
side by side. I
I
don't
just
think.
rode. So, but we have done four-wheeling in the Caribbean, and I think we preferred it in the Caribbean. It was also pretty dusty and dry. So when you were finished, you were
Oh
just
yeah.
covered head to toe from dirt. Um, and it was quite expensive. I will say excursions in Alaska are much more expensive than Caribbean excursions. You can expect to triple your budget on excursions. There's nothing affordable. So
I
yeah.
could imagine because you're in the United States and you're not in the Caribbean. Okay. One other thing I was going to ask you about though, it's probably super important to our guests. So you are, think about this. You are in the United States. So with cell service, is that something you get the entire time because you're in the United States?
Pretty much. Some of your sea days you didn't have it just because you were too far away from a tower, but every port, everywhere, you pretty much could use your phone the whole time. So it was different.
I don't know if I like that though. Now to say that.
Yeah, we didn't know that we would like it either, but it did come in handy for being able to research things kind of on the fly or look up a restaurant menu or something like that.
Yeah, I'd just have to lie and say that you can't get a hold of me. do not disturb as your friend. That's what I would say. Put it out to sea. Make a do not disturb thing that says out to sea. All right, so you're heading back, sea day, getting ready to come home, heading south. Tell us about that last sea day, though, because it's kind of sad. But your cruise isn't over. You're going to have fun. They're going to give you programming. And I see you had one of my favorite events. I never missed this. And I have a little kid, Jack's Diaper Dash. It's if you've never sailed, got to do it. It's awesome. The only thing missing is you got to bet on the kids. But you can do that informally if you want. So go ahead.
Right. There weren't as many kids on this sailing as to be expected because I think a lot of schools were still in session. Yeah. And again, it's an Alaska cruise, so I don't think there's as many kids in general. So they were literally trying to recruit any possible baby they could find just to get enough for one heat.
You're like, this kid looks like he's 7. Like, this kid's been walking for 5 years. What is going on?
Yeah. So there was only like a handful of babies where normally there's dozens on the Caribbean sailings, but it was still, it's always a good time.
And it says too, they brought on an iceberg, like onto the ship. So tell us about that.
Yes. They brought a big chunk of the iceberg and they would chip pieces off so you could hold it and touch it and take pictures with it. Cause that was about as close as you could get to one.
Well, most ships are trying to avoid icebergs, I would think.
Yeah, they brought one. There was a lot of Titanic jokes.
I was gonna say. I'm trying to stay. I always sail the Caribbean, so I'm just saying, like, I'm pretty safe down there. That's what I tell my wife. And everybody's like, "Aren't you worried about it?" I'm like, "I only sail in the Caribbean. It's always like 80 degrees. If it happens down there, it was just meant to be." I'm just saying, there's about 8,000 other ways I could go before I even get to that ship. If that happens, it was nice knowing you. Okay, and you also did one of my favorite things. Everybody knows you sail with me on a podcast cruise. You sail with Scotty G or Steve, Pam's husband. We like to do our tastings on these cruises because the captain's driving, not us. So it's the best time. And I'm not a drinker, and I don't know anything. You guys know, obviously, you go to these breweries and distilleries. I'm somebody who didn't even have his first drink of alcohol until he was over 30 years old. So I know nothing, and I don't drink beer. So I know nothing really about anything. Like, I just know that, like, I do like margaritas and tequila now, and I've gone to mixology classes on the ships. I've gone to martini tastings. I've done old-fashioned tastings now. So I do all my tastings and stuff on the cruises, and it's a great opportunity because it's a safe environment. Like, you're not going anywhere. You're on a ship. You're not driving. So do you guys enjoy doing these things as well with Disney Cruise Line?
We love them. We had done the beer in the past and the mixology in the past. And so we wanted to try a different one. We're big wine drinkers. So we booked the wine one previously. And I believe it's $50 a person, and it is well worth
Mhm.
the $50. I would say you don't have to know much about anything.
I
It's
agree.
a
I
good
agree.
opportunity.
I think they're super
Yeah,
nice to you when you don't. Like if you're honest with them, like I tell them, I'm like, I'm here and I really don't know much, and they kind of take you under their wing.
they do. They really do. And we loved it was a sommelier who taught the class, and we loved the class so much that we got up, and the next one was a champagne tasting, and we were like, is there any availability? And they said, yeah. And we booked that one. So we did them back to back because we loved that first one so much.
Yeah, if you give them a good tip, they'll always make you know the spot. They could they'll set you another spot. They'll always find you something. Yeah, Scott and I have worked our way into full seminars many times like that. So, of all the tastings you've done, what would you recommend? Is mixology your favorite? Is champagne? Is it wine? Bourbon? I mean,
I
there's a
would
bunch of them.
say champagne is what I knew the least about. So I learned the most from that one. So that was really fun.
I'm trying to think what mine would be. Probably like from my past experience, because half of it though is because of who I've been with, because we've done
Right.
6 podcast cruises at this point. Mixology and tequila and margaritas, because they're combined as one. That's probably the most fun in the end. It's wild, but I enjoy mixology because mixology, like you get to you go behind the bar and they actually show you like all the tools and some of the drinks are really kind of involved, like how you pour them and how you,
Hmm.
because I don't know, like this is how you muddle. I'm like,
Right.
this is how you take the leaves and do all this stuff for a mojito, and
Right.
like I'm never gonna make one of those at home because I don't have any of those tools. But it's interesting on the ship. It's because I think a lot of people think when you go to cruise, you just kind of sit on a sun deck and lay around and maybe read a book. Like I'm like you, like I like to be active, and I know you might think, well, that's not really learning, but to me it is. I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, I know I'm
Right.
drinking, but it's enriching because it's something back home I would never go to a bar to learn about drinks, but it is, I mean, it is because they tell you like where the spirits come from, what countries, and the cultural significance to why each drink came around. I mean, I know I'm trying to sell you, like you sound like a drunk, Mike. I'm not, because I don't drink that much, but it is interesting, the cultural connections to all these drinks to me.
Yeah, they gave you tips too, like in the wine tasting class about what to look for in a good grocery store wine,
Mhm.
like how to pick out a cheaper bottle of wine that's still good. And that's great for lots of people to know. So it was very cool. We would definitely do them both again.
Oh man, I can't wait. Yes, I have a bunch booked for the fantasy, so I'm ready. Because being platinum, it's like you have a lot of options, to your disposal when you go on. So I was like, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that. Let's go. I'm going to do them all because you got 3 sea days and you got a lot of time. So like I think I got one a day. I think I did one a day because I don't want to spend too much, right? So I limited myself to one each day, and so
Right.
that was
That's
my
smart.
budget. And I'm saving, and I already like made a plan to save. Like I've told myself I'm not going to do this like this month. So that's like my savings plan. I'm going to knock this off for March. I didn't do that. I'm not doing this in April. Not doing this in May. So that's going to pay for that. So that I've got to figure it out anyway. So as we kind of wrap, I mean, this sounds like such a great cruise. Let's kind of bring it home here, because you had your 7 nights on the Wonder, got to see Alaska, got to go to all these great ports. We didn't even talk meals though. Let's jump into that real quick. What was your favorite restaurant of the rotational dining? Because I hate to miss out on that. So let's talk rotational dining. Favorite restaurant?
Definitely Tiana's.
Okay, and that's a unique one to that ship.
Yes, and we love Princess and the Frog. And they had in dry dock, they had just turned the lounge out front of Tiana's into the French Quarter Lounge. So it was now themed to Princess and the Frog. They served beignets and coffees and cocktails. So it very much, you could go there and have a drink before dinner, and the theming led into the restaurant with live jazz music and a Mardi Gras parade, and Lewis was there from the movie. So it was very, very cool. And they served, traditional like New Orleans food.
I would love to see that restaurant. That restaurant is really super intriguing to me, because we got the little Tiana's lounge on the Wish, right? That had the theming, and it had you could get beignets. behind the bar. It was kind of weird, like how they had the beignets. Like you could order them. They go, I don't know where they got them from. It's weird to order beignets
Right.
at a bar, but they got them
Right.
and they were good. But yeah, the restaurant though intrigues me because isn't there's a show too, show aspect.
Yes, yes. So I think we went twice, and one night it was live music, and Tiana comes out and sings with a band, and then the other was the Mardi Gras parade, and of course they get all the kids and parade them around the restaurant and give beads out. So it was very interactive.
All she needs like LSU fans, and then you got
Yeah.
it. I mean, just kidding, all you LSU fans. I know we got a lot of LSU fans listening to our show. I'm just playing. I just got to throw it in there. Okay, one last thing though, the adult entertainment, which on a Disney cruise just means like, at night you go down to back in the day, I think the Wonder, it was called Beat Street. I mean, this was like way a long time ago when it first started sailing, back like in the fantasy, it's called the Tube. I forget what it's called in the Dream. Every one of the ships has their own kind of 18 and above area after 10 o'clock PM where it's very tame, but it's just the kids can't go there at night. They do things like Match Your Mate, which is kind of like the newlywed game, and all this fun little stuff for the adults. So did you guys do anything special as far as that?
We go to those shows every night, all of the adult only shows. We go to all of them: comedy, juggler, magician, whatever. Match Your Mate is our favorite. We love that, but any of them.
Same. I can never play Match Your Mate because my wife would kill me. Like I would not care. Like, I get in here and I make a fool of myself 5 times a week, in front of everybody. I don't care. With my wife, I would be divorced within 10 seconds if that microphone went in front of her face. So I know I can't.
Same. I've asked my husband multiple times to participate. He's not going to do it. So
I'm like, but a medal. I'm like,
I know, it's
I'm
so
like,
fun.
Match Your Mate. You get like a bottle of
Champagne.
champagne and everything. You get big prize. I mean, this is big prizes.
Yep.
Nope. She's like, I don't care if it gave a free cruise. I'm like, you are
Right.
crazy. I'm like, you know how much a cruise is?
Right.
But we have played bingo though. Like and
Yes.
try to win the bingo. And see, that kills me because that's super expensive.
It really is.
See,
It
I
really
do that
is.
for her. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is so expensive, but we're not going to win. Come on. But yeah, it's fun. Cruises are fun. So, okay, as we wrap though, kind of final thoughts on an Alaska cruise for somebody that's even considering it, or somebody that is just sitting there right now, like, I get to sail on the Wonder in 42 days and I've never been, and I'm so excited. And Kara's got me just like, I want to go now. So just give them some thoughts, just final thoughts.
So we definitely said this would be, we thought it'd be a once in a lifetime, one and done kind of cruise. It's not like the Caribbean where you can easily go back over and over. But when we got off, we all 4 agreed it was our favorite sailing we'd ever been on, and that we were ready to go back whenever. We will absolutely book it again. It's got us excited for more kind of exotic itineraries on cruises. So we're going to start looking more into those.
All right, sounds good. You got me sold. I mean, I am so jazzed for this, and I was pretty excited for it. But I mean, I've gone from like an 8 to like a 12 during this show. So
Wonderful.
you've sold me. Wonderful. Hey, look at you. I like what you did there with the Disney Wonder. All right, Carol. Well, hey, appreciate the time, and what a great way to start the week. And hope you have a great spring and summer out in Virginia. And again, thanks for coming on the show. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much.
All right. Don't forget our show brought to you always by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan that next Disney cruise. Just swing by the website today over at themagicforless.com. Here's the best thing. It costs exactly the same as booking with Disney Cruise Line, and we'll give you an awesome onboard credit. Spends just like cash during the cruise. Pay for those beignets, pay for the merch, pay for those tastings. Think about that. We'll take care of that for you as well. So just see all the details right now. Swing by themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys are the all-stars. You make this show possible. You can support us as well, starting at just $5 per month. We'd love to have that support. So come on over this week, patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. And you know where you need to be this week? It's over in the Be Our Guest Podcast Clubhouse. That's our Discord channel. It's where we have over 650 folks right now talking Disney 24/7. We talk Disney Cruise Line all the time. We talk about the parks. We talk about the resorts. We talk about Disneyland. We talk about D23. We talk about Disney Plus content. We just talk about our lives in general over there. So coming over, it's just beourguestpodcast.com/Discord. It's kind of like a live chat room. It's also kind of like a message board. Just give it a shot. You'll love it. It is just a great community of awesome Disney fans. Again, beourguestpodcast.com/Discord. We'll also have the live call-in show this Sunday night where you can be a part of the show. Give us a holler, and Scott will be joining me. That's 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central on Sunday night on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. Just join us again, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central in all those locations. You can also finally give me a follow on the social media at BeOurGuestMike, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. All right, time to get out of here and let you get on with your week. We appreciate you spending the time with us here on a Monday. We'll be back again on Wednesday with more of your listener questions. So for Kara out in Virginia, I'm Mike here in Missouri. You guys have a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.